Well, hey there, my name is Brandon. This is Rookie Preacher, the place for you if you're a pastor who wants to preach and lead better. So glad that you joined me for this video because we're going to be talking about a really important topic for you and your church leadership team. This is for you and all the lay leaders, depending on how your church is set up, governance structure. This could be your executive team, this could be your elder team, this could be a board, a lay board. You as a pastor and them, this is for you. This is for all of you. And I encourage, if you're a pastor watching this, send this to them because it's something that you all need to talk about. 2020 has presented a lot of challenges, especially in the short term. See, this has always been difficult. The challenge for us in 2020 as a leadership team is to be able to focus on our long-term vision even in the midst of a short-term disruption. 2020 has presented a lot of changes, a lot of methodology of ministry shifts have happened in the midst of dealing with a global pandemic. Now, if you're a pastor and you want to learn some new skills that you really do need to learn today, then I encourage you to check out this video wherever it's going to show up and be sure to check that out. It was the most recent one, 6 new skills that every pastor needs to learn today. But that's not what this is about today. Today, this is about the long-term health of your church. Because if we go through 2020 and we continue to only be focused on 2020, then our church is not going to be as strong as she could be as we move into the future. This has always been difficult, to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. For leaders in the church world, a lot of us have one mode, and that is Sunday. We are focused on Sunday. And Sunday is where our time goes. Sunday is where our energy goes. It's where all of our resources go toward. And 2020 has really made a shift in that in terms of what we need to be doing, because we need to be going beyond Sunday. And really, all throughout the time of ministry in the church, we should have been focusing beyond just Sunday. But today, our challenge is being able to engage in the many changes of the short term while also having an eye and a focus on the long term. Because our long-term vision gives us focus and direction in the short term. So if we don't have a long-term vision, then we will just go Sunday to Sunday, not really going toward anywhere specific or intentionally, but we'll end up somewhere on accident. And most times, pretty much every time, the places we end up on accident are the places we never would have planned on going. So we need this. We need, as a church leadership team, whether you are an executive staff team, elders, whatever, board members, whatever you are, this is important. See, the risk we run in 2020 is because of all these short-term methodology changes and shifts that we're experiencing, it's going to fog, or it can fog, our ability to be able to think about and see the future. And I know what you're thinking, right? You're thinking, I don't even know what the rest of 2020 looks like. I don't know what the rest of August or September or October looks like, let alone thinking about Christmas in 2020, Brandon. So how can we even begin to think 5 years from now, 10 years from now? How can we even begin to think about that? Because 2020 has been so crazy. And to that, I get it, I understand, but this has always been a difficult thing, and it's something we have to do. See, we can walk and chew gum, friends. We are in ministry not playing checkers, we are playing chess. So we are thinking steps ahead in order for us to do this well. For too long, we have been too focused on methodology rather than our mission, because that's why we get up in arms about worship music and the way, like contemporary or traditional, or do we have pews in the sanctuary or chairs? Do we call the sanctuary an auditorium? Do we have this thing in our building or this thing in our building? Do we allow the teens to come in and use this facility? Do we allow people to bring coffee into the room? We've been so focused on methods, and that's probably, I would just guess, a lot of the time that you spend in your meetings as a lay leadership team, as a senior leadership team, have been focused around methodology rather than whether or not the mission is being accomplished. And no longer. We need to stop that. No longer do we need to be focused so much on methodology that we divorce it from our mission. Our mission comes first, and our vision is just a mission-fueled vision for the future. We take a step into the future and we consider, okay, if we live our mission out, if we really do this, then this is what it will look like. This is the outcome we will see. This is the picture we'll see when our mission is fueling our future. This is such an exciting work vision, because in it we're asking God, what do you want us to focus on? What do you want your church to accomplish? What does this look like, God, to you? What does it look like for you to do your will, to have your will be done here in our church as it is in heaven? You and your fellow leaders, you guys can get together and seek God's heart, because he has a path forward. And in this video, we're going to be talking about that path forward. So let's dig into, what does the path forward look like? The first step in this path forward is to truly believe that God still wants you to lead with vision. He doesn't want you to just say, oh guys, we're just waiting. We don't know what the future holds because we just don't know. Obviously you don't know. You've never known, but we are seeking God's heart, and he wants you to lead with vision today. So first step, believe that God still wants you to lead with vision today. The second step in this path forward is to plead with him to show you where he wants you to go. To plead with him, to pray, like spend months in prayer, asking God for direction. Each of you as leaders, this is your responsibility, to seek God's heart for your church, to go on behalf of your congregation to God and say, God, we want to be a people set apart by you, to be on mission for you. We want to be your children. We want to be your kingdom. So what do you want us to do, Lord? What do you want us to be about over the next 5, 10 years? God, what is that picture? What is the mission-fueled picture for our future? The third step in this path forward is to get together and brutally define reality. Because the leadership team, you as leaders, one of your biggest responsibilities is to define reality. Because if you don't define reality, you are living in a delusion and you are leading a bunch of other people in your delusion. So we have to define reality, no matter how brutal that is. We have to ask ourselves, how are we really doing with a lot of the basics? What does our church do well? What does it not do well? What is reality? Where have we drifted over the last 10, 20, 30 years, depending on your context, how long that is? How have we drifted? What has led up to this point? What is our reality? How are people thinking about what we're doing? How much are people connected to the mission? How much are people connected to our values? Are they actually living these things out? We have to brutally define reality. And some of us, it'll be super brutal. And some of us, this may be even an encouraging practice, because we need to define reality. No matter how good or bad things are, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror and look at each other across the table and define reality. The fourth step in our path forward is to focus on our strengths. See, God has uniquely positioned you as a church not to do everything, but to do some things really, really well. So ask yourself, how has God moved? How is he showing momentum in certain areas? And how can we double down and invest even more resources and more time to go toward those things, our strengths? That's not just a program, but it's something that our church does really, really well. It's something that our people have a heart for. Where is that? Where is God showing momentum, and double down there? The fifth step in our path forward is to ask this really compelling question. And you're going to have to ask a lot of other questions that go along with it, but you start with this. If we could focus all our energy over the next 5 years toward this one picture, this mission-fueled picture of the future, what would that look like? What would that picture be? Start painting the picture. Start describing reality 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever range you want to look at. What would that look like? What are people doing? How are people's lives changed? What about your community has changed? What about your church is changed? What about your people has changed? Start painting the picture. Start putting details in it. Describe what people have experienced over the last 5 years. What is one picture of a mission-fueled future that we can put all of our energy toward over the next 5 years? There's a lot more involved in vision work, and it's one of the most difficult things that you as a leadership team will do. And I would highly recommend you check out a couple of resources to help you in this. And the two resources I would recommend is first a book called God Dreams. It's by Will Mancini. I'll leave a link in the description so that you can check that out. It's a process that we as a leadership team have worked through. We actually hired a consultant from Auxano, which is the organization that Will Mancini up until just recently led. It's an organization he founded. It's a church consulting group. Would highly recommend them. The other resource I would recommend is called the Intentional Pastors Toolkit. And this is a toolkit that I developed to help us as pastors become more intentional. Imagine that, Intentional Pastors Toolkit. One of the resource groupings in there, one of the tools in the toolkit is right around strategic vision and strategic leadership. Because my focus is on vision that then turns into strategies. Because if you don't put strategies to your vision, then it's just a wish, it's just a dream, it won't actually happen. So in there is a 6-month discussion guide that I think would be a good framework for a lot of you, for your teams to work through. Just once a month, work through those questions, and then come together after 6 months and really put it all together. And in addition to that, there is a strategic planning calendar that will allow you to take all of the goals, all of the initiatives that you take from that drive you toward one picture, one mission-fueled picture, which is a vision to implement year by year by year. And so I would highly recommend each of those resources. Please, in this process, do not do it alone. Use someone, have someone come alongside of you to guide you in this process, because vision work is difficult work. Vision work is so exhausting, but it's so good and so worth it. So I hope this video has been helpful. If it has been, then definitely leave a thumbs up, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and just as a way of saying thank you, if you're not already a part of our Rookie Preacher community, I'd love to welcome you into that and give you some free resources. If you just go to rookiepreacher.com/subscribe, you can dial into all of the resource library that we have there, and we'll send you a couple of email courses that are just free, 5 days to preaching better or 5 days to leading better, just as a jump start for your preaching or your leadership. And just so you know, you can go through the other one after you've gone through the other one. So if you decide you want to go through preaching first, you can go through leadership second, or vice versa. All we're doing here at Rookie Preacher is we are driven to help you preach and lead better. We want to help you thrive in your ministry. So would love to have you connect with us there. I would love to know in the comments below, have you and your leadership team discussed this? Is this something on your radar? And if not, what are you going to do about it? Are you guys going to engage in this conversation? I would love to know from you in the comments below. So definitely let me know, and I will see you on the next video.